Good morning. This is Send 7, World News in 7 minutes. I'm Juliet Martin, and today is Thursday, the 25th of July, 2024. Starting in Africa today. Kenya's President William Ruto has nominated 4 opposition members to cabinet in response to 6 weeks of protests. Ruto called the new government a visionary partnership for the radical transformation of Kenya. Critics have said the new government is a corrupt bargain. In Uganda, at least 42 young people have been charged for alleged offences during anti-corruption protests on Tuesday. Protesters marched in the capital Kampala against corruption by lawmakers. The 42 detainees have been charged with offences including being idle and disorderly and a common nuisance. Ghana's Supreme Court has upheld a law criminalising gay sex. The Ghanaian Criminal Code from 1960 calls same-sex sexual acts unnatural carnal knowledge, with a sentence of up to 3 years in jail. In February, courts will decide on the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, which would extend the sentence. Asia and Oceania. In New Zealand, a public inquiry found that 200,000 children and vulnerable adults have been abused in care over the last 70 years. The report said that nearly 1 in 3 children and vulnerable adults in care experienced some form of abuse between 1950 and 2019. The report made 138 recommendations to address this history of abuse. Prime Minister Christopher Luxon said an official apology is planned for the 12th of November. He said this is a dark and sorrowful day in New Zealand's history.
A terrible injustice was done in the name of state care, and it is now the responsibility of the state to make redress, and this government will ensure that it happens. And as Prime Minister, I will ensure that the state carries its care and protection responsibilities with tremendous weight. As difficult as it is, I hope that all New Zealanders take the time to read this report, to understand the abuse that you, the survivors, suffered and the lifelong impact it had on your lives. Through this, we will understand the obligation that we all have to prevent it happening again.
In Nepal, 18 people have died in a plane crash. The Soraya airline plane crashed and caught fire during takeoff from Kathmandu airport. According to officials, only the captain survived the crash. Over 350 people have died in plane or helicopter crashes in Nepal since 2000. In the Philippines, Typhoon Gaemi has caused floods in the capital Manila and other cities. Schools and offices have been closed and flights have been cancelled. Authorities have declared a state of calamity. At least 12 people have died and more than 600,000 have been displaced by the storm. The Americas. Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has announced the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty. The alliance aims to end hunger and extreme poverty as part of Brazil's presidency of the G20. Lula said, "Nothing is as absurd and unacceptable in the 21st century as the persistence of hunger and poverty when we have so much abundance and so many scientific and technological resources at our disposal." The project will be launched in November. In Canada, 25,000 people evacuated the town of Jasper due to wildfires on Tuesday. The Jasper National Park is visited by more than 2 million tourists each year. A United Nations report has found that Latin America made remarkable progress against food insecurity in the last year. According to the report, malnutrition is expected to reduce to below 5% in 2030. Hunger rates in South America decreased from over 10% in 2022 to 7% in 2023. Europe. In England and Wales, shoplifting has increased 30% in the last year, according to official data. The Office for National Statistics reported 443,995 shoplifting offences between 2023 and 2024, the highest level in 20 years. Shoplifting has been increasing since the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the British Retail Consortium, shoplifting costs retailers £1 billion per year. In Germany, flights were suspended at Cologne-Bonn Airport after climate activists glued themselves to a runway. The campaign group Last Generation aimed to stop air traffic by gluing their hands to the runway. They want the German government to exit oil, gas and coal by 2030. Authorities said that similar attempts to disrupt airports in England, Austria and Norway were stopped. And a Brazilian artist swapped a British coin for a fake in the British Museum. Ile Sartuzi swapped an English Civil War-era silver coin for a fake to highlight the large number of foreign objects displayed in the museum. The British Museum said this is a disappointing and derivative act. Sartuzi said institutions like the British Museum consider themselves the holders of the treasures of humanity. The problem is that these institutions are the basis of imperialist cultures that looted lots of these objects from the global south and world. That's your world news in 7 minutes. If you enjoy this podcast, please tell your friends about us. You can get in touch with us in a voice message at send7.org or by sending an email to podcast@send7.org. I'm Juliet Martin. Tomorrow you will be with Stephen DeVincenzi. Have a great day.